Come on in. How are you, YouTube? Very happy to be back. We have a show today with some great topics that we're going to be talking about, even some stuff that I'm going to have to push over into my next live here just so I can even get to these topics because I just have my list keeps getting longer of things to talk about with you guys. But come on in, come on in. Let me know when you are here. You know the drill. If you are a member of the Aries crew, hit that hashtag Aries crew in the comments. And if you are a first time watcher, all you have to do is leave first time watcher. I want to give you a shout out for stopping by and spending part of your day here. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Aries Rose. And we're going to be talking about today, we're going to have some celebrity topics, a little bit about politics as well. And I'll let you know when my next live is going to be. And stay tuned for some more fun stuff that we're going to be doing on the channel. So if you can hear me on the live, leave a 1. If you are on the live and you can hear me, leave a 1, leave a 2 if you cannot hear me. And let's give you a little list what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, and one of his comments that he made about Social Security. We are going to be talking about Marvin Sapp asking for a pretty large donation from his congregation. We're going to be talking about LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith. We're also going to be talking about Yolanda Saldívar, who you may know the name, but if you're not familiar with the name, she was the former president of the fan club for Selena Quintanilla, Perez, and she also was the person who was convicted for her murder. So we're going to talk a little bit about the results from her parole hearing, and we also have a little bit we're going to touch on about a grandmother who went to see her prison bae, her prison husband, and she did not return back from that trip. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. As you are here on the live, let me know if you are a member of the Aries crew. Just say hashtag Aries crew. If you're a first time watcher, say first time watcher. I want to give you a shout out for being on the live. Zitmon Darius, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for letting me know you can hear me as well. Appreciate that. All right, so let's talk about the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. So as you're aware, or maybe you're not aware if you don't follow politics here, the Trump administration has been making a lot of changes on the federal level in a very fast and furious manner. And that is not typically how things are done. And they don't typically move this fast, and they don't typically make such drastic changes without including Congress in them. So we are definitely in uncharted territories. And one of those areas that is being touched here that was repeated by President Trump would not be touched is Social Security. So what I mean by Social Security being touched is not that the benefit has gone away, at least as of right now, but in how that benefit is going to be administered, how you can get assistance when you're on it to even start it, or get help with changing something while you are on it. That is changing. So they're trying to do a mass reduction in the federal staffing. So they are being hit pretty hard right now. And one of the areas in federal government, or in the federal agencies rather, is Social Security Administration that's taken a hit. So I understand that thousands have been laid off and or will be laid off. They have not already been so. Well, Social Security is typically a benefit that's utilized by older Americans, children under 18, if there's somebody that has a disability, for survivors benefits as well. So that can include children who are under 18, or if you have a disability as well, you would be eligible to get onto Social Security. And even if you're not on Social Security right now, this does matter because eventually you will be on it, and making sure that it's solvent and making sure you can get access to your benefits in a timely and efficient manner is important. So the issue is we have in this time right now a convergence of generations that have varying levels of comfortability and experience with using technology. So you still have to have multiple ways for people to be able to get assistance if they need it, or to apply for benefits, because not everybody's got internet access. Not everybody has a computer or a laptop. Not everybody is comfortable utilizing those things. So some people may be more comfortable over the phone for security reasons and other reasons. Don't want to do stuff online. Don't want to put their personal information out there online, and that's understandable. It can get compromised that way. Some people may not have a vehicle, so they can't go into an office, so the phone is the best way for them to get help. Or some people may prefer to go in person. So having, those three ways, an electronic, over the phone, and in person, to me just makes sense. But it's going to become pretty challenging here, if it has not already, for those who are on Social Security benefits, because they are closing down field offices. Because when you have a reduction in staff, obviously that's going to impact your ability to keep certain places open. So field offices are being impacted. And if you don't have as many people, you're going to have a longer wait time on the phone. And if you thought you were having a hard time getting through with the staffing they had previously, let's see how it goes now that it's been reduced. So what's happening is people aren't going to be able to change their bank account information over the phone. They'll have to go into an office, show identification to be able to change their banking information. So this is supposed to reduce fraud, because the whole Trump administration motto right now is reducing, fraud and waste. And so they believe that by not doing this over the phone, it's going to reduce fraud. But the issue is, what if somebody can't get into an office? What if they maybe don't have all that paperwork that you need right away to get it? Because maybe people put things some places, put it in boxes, store it away, can't remember where they put it. Why are we making it more challenging for people who have paid into this system and worked for this benefit for their life, for their, a good chunk of their lives, to be able to utilize it, and making it hard for them to use these benefits? So Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick made a comment that just really kind of caught me off guard, and I felt like it just really exposed how they're not in touch with the way people are thinking right now, and the real impact of that experience for people who are currently on Social Security and rely on it. So he makes a comment that his 94-year-old mother-in-law, she's on Social Security, and if she was not to get a check for a month, she wouldn't call. She would just think, there must have been a mistake, must have been an error. They'll fix it. I'll get it next month. Okay, that may apply for her. She may not feel the need to call if she doesn't get her Social Security check for a particular month. And also, let me mention that Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is also a billionaire, worth around $2.2 billion from what I was able to see from research online. So she may not have to worry about receiving a check, because she's got financial support that she could potentially get from their family in order to survive for that month. So it may not be as serious to her as it is to somebody else. But I don't think that that is a sample size of the norm for everyone. Most of the people that I know that are on Social Security live paycheck to paycheck. And if that check did not come, or if that check came late, that could impact their ability to eat, get medication, put gas in their car, rent, and any other expenses that they rely on in order to be able to function for the month. So what would that leave you to do is to call. And so he says that the people who tend to make the loudest noise are fraudsters, basically insinuating that you would only call and complain about not receiving something because you're committing fraud. That was a pretty interesting conclusion to jump to, because if you were missing a check, just like if you went to work, even if you weren't on Social Security, and you did not get your check on time, that does not mean you're a fraudster because you go in to say, hey, I need my check, and you make some noise about that because you need the money. That is just the reality of living in a country that requires money for everything. If you have to have it to function, to do things, to buy things, and somebody takes that away from you and you're supposed to have it, by calling or going in and trying to get that resolved, does not equal a fraudster. Are there people who commit fraud? Absolutely. Do I think it's to the level that the administration is trying to make it seem. Absolutely not. I just don't see it being on this gigantic, massive level. I don't see that. Do I think it happens in all areas? Naturally. Just for every way that you try to figure out how to make money and do things the right way, there's somebody working on doing it through a back door and taking it away from somebody else. That's just how it goes. But I don't think for the few that are doing that, it should impact so greatly the others that rely on those benefits. So we'll see how this goes, keeping an eye out on that. But if you are on Social Security or you know somebody who is on Social Security, let me know if you're having a harder time getting through, if it's taking more time to get assistance, or if you've had your check impacted at all by all these changes that have been happening with the staffing. Definitely want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. And if you are here on the live, make sure you let me know if you are a Aries crew member by saying hashtag Aries crew, or if you're a first time watcher by saying first time watcher. I'm going to give you a shout out for being here. Got a couple comments here. We're going to take a little quick moment to read over. I got Rizky Zero, hello. If you are still here, thank you so much for being here. Mondarius, first time watcher, thank you so much. Your support is appreciated. Let's see, we got Sour underscore camera 4. We were talking about the Social Security Administration and the comments made by Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. And let's see, AZ Moon Mapper. YT, hello from Indonesia. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. All right, let's hop into some of our other topics we have lined up for tonight. So we got to talk about Marvin Sapp. So he is a gospel singer, an American gospel singer. He is also a preacher. And a video has resurfaced that he was telling his congregation he needs to get a $40,000. He needs to raise that in donations. $40,000. So not only is that number got my jaw dropping, but it's what he does next that kept my jaw on the floor. He tells the ushers to close the doors multiple times. Then he breaks down how he's going to be able to achieve that $40,000 goal by telling everybody they need to give at least $20. And they also give away for you to participate electronically. So if you don't have cash, that's okay. They will accept it electronically as well. And he wanted the baskets up at the front. He said he wanted to see the folk. He wanted to see 1,000 people come up and give $20 each, or you can show on your phone that you made the donation. To me, that was absolutely wild to tell the ushers to close the door and making people then have to walk up to the front to give the donation. So they have to show in front of other people what they are doing. And to me, that just added a level of, I don't know if that was the intent of like public shaming, because if somebody sits down and doesn't go up there, they're obviously going to stick out like a sore thumb. But I always felt like in church, the whole point of that was to give because you wanted to give, not because you had to. I don't ever recall being told an amount that you have to give. And I just don't feel that people should be pressured into having to participate financially in something, because you really don't know what people are going through. You don't know if they're relying on that money to get through the week, if that's their last lunch money, whatever the case may be. And to put people on the spot like that and to try to use peer pressure by making people have to walk up and show and prove and then telling ushers to close the door, just to me takes away the giving spirit that somebody should have when they are donating in church. It should never be forced. I just thought that was wild to break down the math and tell people how much they needed to give to reach that goal that he came up with of $40,000. And then the people who were sitting kind of on the top level, they were not subject to $20. They had to give more. I want to say he said about 100 for them. He said that $20 is not for y'all up here. And that up here is from where he was preaching from. $20 was from everybody else. He expected $100 from them to be donated. I just thought that was crazy. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that donations in church should be whatever you want to give? Should there be an amount that you're told you have to give? Or should it be whatever you want to give? I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it. For me, I felt like it just speaks to why maybe some people just lose their faith in the churches because they feel like it's centered around money. And when you do things like that, it does kind of seem like that's what your goal is. Now, I'm not going to say because I don't know if that was the goal, was just a financial goal there, or if there was really some more useful meaning for the whole congregation behind this 40,000 he was asking for. But to me, I felt like if somebody wanted to give $1, they should have had the ability to give $1 and not feel shame about that because you truly don't know anybody's situation or how many people they got to take care of. So you can't really tell them what they need to come with to be in the house of God or for participation. I just don't see that being something that is a requirement to do. But that's just my thoughts. I definitely want to hear yours. Let's keep that conversation going. And let's talk about LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith. So if you are a sports fan, let me know in the comments. Leave a emoji of the sport that you like to watch and or play if that is the case. So Stephen A. Smith is a sports commentator. He's been on ESPN. His YouTube channel is blowing up. It's over 1 million now. So congratulations to him on that success. I believe he is also still on ESPN as well. And LeBron James is a well-known, highly talented, well-regarded NBA player. He's currently with the Lakers, but he has played with different teams in his career. Well, these two had a feud that just seems to continue for whatever reason. Both of these gentlemen are successful in their lanes. So I think it's kind of interesting that they even need to cross paths in this manner, but that's how it goes in life. So I want to say maybe a couple weeks back or a week, don't quote me on the time frame, Stephen A. Smith talked about an interaction that he had with LeBron James. So he went to a Lakers game and LeBron saw him. I believe he was probably up in the first couple of rows, would make sense to me where somebody like Stephen A. Smith would be sitting. And LeBron went up to him and confronted him. And although there is no audio of the conversation that I am aware of or that I have heard, if you know of otherwise, let me know in the comments. Stephen A. Smith was saying that LeBron came up to him on a father type vibe about him speaking on his son, Bronny James. And Bronny James is relatively new to the NBA, is my understanding. You know, I believe he came out of high school or maybe he had a year or two in college, but he has not had the same amount of time as his father. And he's still developing, and that's okay. That's kind of what you want to have in your career. You want to see some growth. So, you know, he's starting where I imagine a lot of people start on the NBA. Everybody is not going to be a superstar immediately, right? But you can always grow into that role. And he's got a good coach and mentor in his father. And he, you know, has been taking probably some criticism from people in different commentary because his father is LeBron and he is one of the greats in basketball and he's got a lot of skill and talent, and I'm sure it's challenging to try to live up to somebody with those stats and you know that stature to try and come in as well because people are going to have the same expectations of you because you're his child. So, you know, in that sense, and it probably feels unfair that you're always going to be compared and you don't get to kind of make your own lane and be your own person and grow and develop in your way. But on the other hand, it also gives you a leg up because some say that LeBron was able to use his influence to get his son onto the Lakers, and they were the first father and son to play together in an NBA game. And that, you know, may cause people to be more judgmental. So you just, you know, immediately get to go onto the Lakers and you get to play. You didn't earn your spot, maybe. But, you know, he's doing the work and he is improving. But LeBron, like any parent would do, confronted Steven about comments that he made about his son. And Steven said, you know, was just a man talking to him about how he felt about him speaking about his son, kind of left it that way. Well, LeBron James went on to the Pat McAfee show and did an interview, and that came up. And he said, you know, Stephen A. Smith was missing the point. He was not saying to him that he can't have comments about his son as a player. He just felt like it was personal. and he did not want it to be personal, and he felt like as the man of his house, as the head of his household, he needed to protect his son, and he also needed, to protect the players. He sees that as his role, and I can totally respect that. I'm not sure about the comments that Stephen A. Smith has made about Bronny. Stephen A. Smith says that any comments he was making was not about his son. He was talking about LeBron, but obviously that's not how LeBron interpreted it. But if you know what those comments are, let me know. Like, do you think Stephen A. Smith was talking personal about LeBron James's son, or was he just talking about him as a player, or was he talking about LeBron James? I really would love to hear your thoughts on that. Let me know in the comments. But he said that LeBron was lying on the Pat McAfee show. That's not what it was, I guess. And he was saying that if that interaction between those two had become physical, that he would have hit him back. Although he does admit that he would not have won that fight, but he was not just going to get hit and not respond back. Very interesting to hear. He shared his thoughts earlier today. I hope that these two are going to be able to make peace and come to a common ground on this situation. I never really thought I'd be talking about LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith feuding, but here we go. So I'm following the story, and we'll see what more comes from that. But definitely want to hear your opinion on it if you follow either of them in the story. Here in the comments, let's keep the conversation going on that. And now we got to talk about a grandmother who was married to a man in prison. She went there for a conjugal visit, and she never came back home. So the family has got some questions on why she was able to be with him unsupervised, why this person was able to get conjugal visits. So let's dive a little bit into the story, at least for what we know right now. And then we're going to end on talking about Yolanda Saldivar, who was trying to get paroled. We're going to talk about what that landed on her getting that. And I'm bringing up this other story here to talk about that grandmother. Her name was Stevie. I believe her name was Stephanie, but she went by Stevie. And she married a man that was in prison for allegedly, or not allegedly, he was convicted. So he was in prison for smirking 4 people. Now, I don't know why she was talking with this person to begin with while he was in prison, or what attracted her to this person at all. But nonetheless, they were married, and sadly, she lost her life. So I'm reading this from the KCRA3 news website here, and it says a second woman was deleted at Mule Creek State Prison in Ione last year during a conjugal visit with her husband, officials said. KCRA3 investigates first reported that the November death of Stephanie Dowles, 62, and this was the person, she also goes by Stevie, but Stephanie Dowles, 62, during a visit at the prison with David Brinson, was determined to be a homicide. The Amador County coroner says Dowles was strangled. So this happened when they were in, I think it's like a separate home apartment type of setup that they have, where these inmates can have conjugal visits with their spouses. And they go there, and every attempt is made to give the inmates privacy for obvious reasons. They don't have guards standing there watching these acts take place. It's supposed to be time between a man and a wife. And allegedly, officials have said there's nothing prohibiting somebody who has been convicted of murder from being able to have conjugal visits. So his reason for being in prison would not have prohibited him from having a conjugal visit, even though to me, it seems like he obviously has an issue there, because it was not one, not two, not even three, 4 people that he murdered. So that would be a red flag for me. And I don't know if Stephanie was fully aware of his charges, but I would imagine she was. So, she did know what his history was going there as well, but they were left alone. And there's a phone that's in the room as well. So they're supposed to answer whenever it rings. And then they have to check in at different points as well. So they want to make sure that these people aren't using this as an opportunity to try to escape or any other funny business. But it was during that time when you are in between, I guess, a check-in, a call, whichever way that ends up happening during these types of situations. And David Brinson then called to say that his wife was not breathing. Basically, that I want to say maybe she had collapsed or something like that, he had said, but it was just the two of them in the room. And based on what the coroner said, if she was strangled, that obviously leaves it wasn't her who strangled herself. Why it occurred is not known at this time. It's my understanding David Brinson is serving a life sentence already, so he has no potential of coming out that I'm aware of, but we'll kind of keep it going here on this story to see what else KCRA has on it. And back on their website here saying now we're learning that another woman was also slain during a visit with her husband at the same prison a few months before that. KCRA 3 investigates spoke with the family of Tanya Vanessa Corpus Thomas. Says, we were born and raised in San Francisco. We were raised by our grandparents, Janine Rojo said. She and Thomas were first cousins. We've literally been together since birth, she said. Rojo said Thomas was a single mother to a 25-year-old son who is now in the Air Force. It's just tragic that that happened. Her family learned Thomas died on July 1st, 2024. She said that Thomas spent more than half her life battling lupus, but the disease is not what took her life. Very sad. So this is the second one. Stephanie Dallas was the second one um, that experienced this there, which is very sad. So I hope her family is able to get some answers. I believe she had 2 children and she had grandchildren, and my heart goes out to them. Very sad situation. I'm sure when their mom went to go visit her husband in there, that's not what she was anticipating to happen. So I don't know what caused that conjugal visit to go so negatively and one person ended up losing their life. I know it's not going to be a consolation to bring their mom back, but I hope they are able to get some justice and some answers on that, and some safety precautions are taken for the people who are going to these visits because they don't have the benefit of guards being right there. And maybe, it needs to be relooked at as who has the ability to have these visits if there's a common denominator for, the type of reason that the gentlemen were in there on that ended up taking those ladies' lives. If there's a common denominator, maybe that needs to be considered on whether or not conjugal visits can continue. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments here. And our last story for tonight is going to be about Yolanda Saldivar. And she is the leader of the queen of Tejano music, Selena Quintanilla Perez. And she had that movie Selena, where Jennifer Lopez played her, and Jennifer Lopez did a great job playing Selena. I thought she looked so much like her that I couldn't even really tell the difference. I remember when I saw that movie for the first time, it was a really good movie seeing it in the theater, and then they showed clips of Selena at the end, and I just remember being floored at how similar they looked and how well she brought her story to life. I still think that was one of Jennifer Lopez's best movies. But, it was under sad circumstances. She was only 23 years old. She had just either finished or was in the process of recording her English album, and she had been wanting to do that for a very long time. She started with her siblings in a band, Salina y los Tinos, and she learned Spanish through the music that they were performing. So she grew up in Texas, and she was speaking English and liked R&B, pop, rock music. And then her father really encouraged her to sing in Spanish and to learn that. And she did. And I thought that was really cool because she did not grow up knowing Spanish, but she was able to learn that, and so that inspired me to also want I was seeing that movie that really made me appreciate that and like that kind of music 'cause the whole storyline, the way it broke down, it really caught my attention, and it um, changed the way I listened to the music, and I really appreciated how she incorporated in so many different genres into there, and very relatable young lady. So to see that she didn't get to live up to her full potential and we didn't see what she could have been if she was able to get her English album out, I'm sure she would be a superstar right now on the level of but not Madonna or Beyonce because she was just that talented, very beautiful, down to earth woman, and her fan club president took her life. It appears they had a dispute in a hotel room, and sadly, Yolanda Salivar had a weapon with her. And I'm sure when Selena went to meet her that day, she did not think that was going to be the last day of her life, let alone somebody who she looked at as like a best friend and was the fan club president would take her life, but she did. And she was arrested and she was convicted, and I feel rightfully so. And she was trying to get paroled and her parole has been denied. So let's read from TMZ here. This is off of TMZ's website. The woman who shot and killed Selena Quintanilla will not be freed from behind bars because she just got parole denied. The decision came down Thursday when a parole board in Texas denied Yolanda Saldivar's bid for freedom, citing the violent nature of her crime and claiming she still poses a continuing threat to the community. And I could not agree more. You took a young lady's life in the prime of her life for absolutely no reason at all. Sorry, you just don't get to enjoy life anymore. You gave that up when you took somebody else's life. That's just my feelings on that. No love lost with that decision. And with that, we appreciate you being here. If you hung in this long, we'd love to have you a part of the Aries crew. Go ahead and join. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit that subscription button and make sure you hit that notification bell and select all so you can find out every time I go live, post videos, upload shorts, and post on the community page. If you have any stories that you'd like me to cover, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know here in the comments. We may be live tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'm going to check out The Woman in the Yard tomorrow or over the weekend. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do a live show or not. So check out my community page. I'll post either way to let you know if we will be doing a live show or not. I have so many topics that we still need to get to. So much happening in the news. But I want to thank you so much for spending part of your day here. We really appreciate it. We're trying to get to 1,800 subscribers by the summer. So we'd love, love, love to have your help. You can do that by liking the video. It doesn't cost you anything. You can share this out with family and friends. It doesn't cost you anything. And then you can also subscribe as well. We'd love that. You're always welcome here. Thank you for taking out some of your day with us. We are going to wrap up this live now. Have a great rest of your evening, and we will see you later.